don't even know how you had the conscience to leave this one off.
Well, I had to have something for the deluxe record. I needed a little bit of something.
Oh, you've been bringing something for the whole, forever. You've been bringing something nonstop. You've bought more things than almost anybody's bought anything in the last 12 months. It's been nonstop. It's good to see you. How are you?
It's so good to see you. I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, so we got to talk about it. I mean, in relation to how it sort of, it fits in with everything else that ended up being on Future Nostalgia before we even get to the club. Where did this one kind of fall into the recording and the creating of it?
This one kind of came, I guess, towards the end of the process, and I wrote so many songs for Future Nostalgia. And there just came a point where I was like, it really has to fit. The songs that I wanted on the record really had to fit the theme of there being like the future element and the nostalgic element. And We're Good kind of sits in a more, in the same kind of pop sensibility of like the other songs that I was doing, but I didn't feel like was ready to be heard yet. And I was still working on it. It wasn't finished. And now it's time. That's it.
I mean, it takes real courage to be able to listen to a song like this and know that on its own terms, it's going to reach a lot of people and it's going to make a lot of people really happy. And decide that it doesn't fit into an overall theme, especially on album 2. Your first album, there are some concepts that flow throughout and it tees it up beautifully. But the second album, to your point, really is very conceptual. It's like what goes on after dark. And it must have been really kind of tough to make those decisions, knowing that you're sitting on something that is like unfinished or not. This is a smash. And it's like,
thank you. That's very kind. See, I never know. It's always about like me loving a song. Feeling like it's authentic to me and the music that I make. But at the same time, you never really know what's going to happen until that song's out. Whether anyone's even going to like it. It's definitely a bit of a wild card for me. Coming from the songs in Future Nostalgia, it is vastly different, but still in the same world. And then the video brings it into that nostalgia world. So
the Moonlight edition of this new album, and it's all kind of leading into an anniversary. When you think about the last 12 months, and let's just put aside, gosh, this is the first time I've actually asked anybody to do this, but it feels kind of good to do. Let's just put aside all of the massive challenges that everyone's faced in the last 12 months, just for like 2 seconds, because I don't want to be insensitive to it, but just to focus on what's important to the creative, which is that 12 months of Future Nostalgia, that 12 months of this album coming to life. What have you personally gained out of that? I mean, I know what we got out of it. What have you learned? What have you got out of it?
Well, I guess in the process, while I was creating these songs, there was, in some sense, with some lyrics, there was like this false sense of confidence. They were songs that I wrote because I wanted to feel a certain type of way, or they were songs that I put certain lyrics or certain feelings in that I was like, I want to be able to listen to the song and feel that way that necessarily I wasn't always feeling, or I wanted, when I was creating this record, I wanted it to serve as a form of escapism. And it just, I don't know, it felt like during this time, it did serve as a form of escapism for me. And I was so happy with the response that the record got, and that, people were like, this got me through lockdown, and I did so many workouts at home. And
so many workouts. I love what you said there before, though, because that's kind of what I was hoping your answer would be something that circled the idea of self-confidence. Because, when you have the kind of success, and we talked about this ages ago, but when you have the kind of success that you work so hard to have on album number 1, and it lands so quickly, for everybody else, full well what all the effort you put in to get to that point, but it can actually affect your confidence when it's time to return. It's like, wow, what happens when I have limited time to follow that up?
Absolutely. And it was that thing of like getting away from any timelines, deadlines, people telling me what they think I should do or what my next step should be, and just going and making something that I really love, something that makes me feel strong and confident and empowered. And maybe at times when I was writing these things, like especially when I wrote like Future Nostalgia and I was talking about the female alpha, I didn't necessarily feel myself to be that. But I was like, the more I think sometimes you have to put things into writing to almost manifest that energy. And I don't know, this album really pushed me to learn to become like the best performer I could be. I really spent a lot of time just like rehearsing and practicing and making sure that, like, I knew from the experience that I had on my first record how much I needed to work to be able to be the best version of myself. And I don't know, it was a lot about patience, a lot about hard work and persistence, but confidence really was something that I was really grateful for from this album during the course of the time that it's been out.
You do such an incredible job of presenting your best self in your words in a way that is within the entertainment space. That how has it been, continuing to grow and establishing this idea of the alpha woman, the alpha female, but holding on to who you truly are as well behind the scenes and preserving something of who you are that doesn't just belong to everybody else?
It's an interesting question because I feel like, there's not really when I get up on stage or when I perform, there's not really another persona that I put on. Everything is very much me. I think in terms of like trying to just like stay true to myself, I think sometimes it's like getting away from social media and doing stuff like that, but also, surrounding myself with people that I love and people that are honest with me. I'm not into the yes man thing. I like, opinions and criticism and understanding and learning, and I always want to learn. And for me, I also feel like, musically, I always want to be out of my comfort zone. I want to be putting music out that scares me, just like with We're Good. It's definitely something that I was nervous to put out, but so excited because it's quite different.
What was so scary about this particular one? I mean, it's definitely a song that deals with the idea of someone's idyllic image of what romance is just not panning out. Everyone feels that. Someone's going through that right now as we speak. But what was most scary about putting this particular one out? What felt riskiest for you as the artist?
I think sonically it felt the riskiest because it's, I don't even know what it is. It's like pop with like a little bit of a trap beat. It's got
and
like a interesting like
kind of like
bossa nova
like ding, ding, ding,
style.
ding, ding,
I don't
ding,
even
ding,
know
ding.
what it, how you explain it or how you would, start to describe what a song like that is. It just is. And that for me was probably the most scariest. But I think the content of the song is really interesting. It's having that amicable breakup that I think everybody kind of wants. It's like that clean break. This isn't working. Move on. We're good. Like, you can't be upset if I move on. I can't be upset if you move on. You know what I mean? It's just that.
Yeah. All right, I can't let you go. I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to throw it in there at the beginning and be all sort of commercial radio about it. But the Grammys are coming up, 6 nominations, unbelievable. You have 2 already somewhere. Probably, I'm going to guess, one's probably with family.
They're in my living room in London on top of my fireplace. I'm very proud of them.
So they should be. A lot is made of awards and especially when you don't get nominated, it becomes this push and pull, this tug of war, and it really is part of a social media now. I get it. But it matters when you get recognized for the work that you do. And this award ceremony is coming up, nominated for 6. What are your feelings? How are you feeling? I mean, it's, the postponing must have almost been painful.
It's just such a massive honor. And I feel very lucky to have been recognized by my peers, and especially for a record that just means so much to me. And because of the way that I feel like I've grown and matured as a person and as an artist during this whole process, it just means that much more. And I'm just over the moon about it. I couldn't be happier, honestly.